Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Bell from the Hampton Roads Innovation Collaborative. The Hampton Roads region has a single tech council, and we're it. We were established in the late 90s as a 501c6 and have been in existence ever since, trying to help the technology community, the business entrepreneurship community, essentially maintaining a technical and small business presence in the region. And we think that is just a great thing to do, and a lot of our constituents do as well. I want to thank Cox for being a series sponsor. Barrett Stork is to join us, but unfortunately he's running a bit late because his computer, I used to say Bill Gates decided to start updating his computer. We can't say that anymore, but it is in the process of updating. So I said I'd introduce him and thank Cox, which I did. And then I want to thank our speakers, most definitely. Mike Groh, CEO from Opline, and Jeff Gibson, COO from Opline, who are going to, I think, do a far better job of introducing themselves than I could ever do justice to, and then take us through big data in the labor market. And I think this is a fascinating topic for a couple of reasons. Number one, big data is a big topic. It's being found everywhere and being deployed everywhere and getting better and better and better. And then how ingenious to apply it to the labor market, which is a super challenging environment for businesses to be in right now. And I think we're going to hear all about that from them. So with that, I am going to fade into the background here. Chat is available for questions, and hopefully our gentlemen will be able to get through the message and handle most, if not all, of your questions. Remember that we have a 12:45 hard stop because these gentlemen have another meeting to attend. So with all that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the Opline team, fade into the background, and again, thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. This is Mike. I turned my camera off, so as we do this presentation, you don't see my hands flying around and my eyes rolling back. So we can talk more about the content than my presentation style. But anyway, so Jeff and I are here. Also, if as we're going through this and you have a question you want kind of raised immediately, you can just drop it in the chat and Jeff will be monitoring it. So contextually, Opline's a very, very different type of technology tool. So what I'll do is I'll spend the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes kind of letting you know contextually why it's different, what the problems that it's addressing, et cetera. And then we'll go into the technology itself and you can see it working live and how it basically extracts information from the market all around us and then turns it into data that's actually useful. So, our name is basically a concatenation of optimal alignment. And it was a 6-letter URL that was available. So, when we started this 4 years ago, we settled on, this is optimal alignment because that's what the system does kind of everywhere. And so just, again, the high level basics on us, founded 4 years ago, founded by 4 veterans. Jeff and I were local, we were former SEALs. Brian's on the line too. He's a Special Forces warrant officer. And the 4th veteran is a Marine Force Recon gentleman that lives in Ohio. So besides being veterans, basically we all went off and got MBAs, and then we all basically worked in corporate America, basically trying to solve this labor utilization problem. And then we worked in government contracting, which turns out is just a giant utilization optimization problem. So in the grand scheme of things, almost all government contracting outside of building things that have metal and materials is just an arbitrage of the labor market. Companies bid on these big service contracts. They basically set a price. They say, I can do X, Y, and Z for this many dollars per hour. And then they have to turn around and fill it. So they're basically, again, arbitraging the labor market. They have set their price and now they have to go meet it. And they spend all this effort trying to find qualified people at the lowest possible cost. So, so that's where we came out of. Our mindset was always, how do we fill this labor demand? These demands that are being generated by the government, by the market, by specific companies. with fully qualified labor at a cost that allows us to generate revenue. So really, it's basically just a math problem. And so when we started this in 2017, we built the first two modules. And one was the core module, which I'll show you here in a second. And then the first interface was like, okay, now that I've made the exchange between supply and demand, how do I read it correctly? And as you can see, today we're up to 34 modules. And I'll go through all those, all the different customer sets we have and how they use these different ones. All right, back in 2017, we had a few small customers, basically little niche defense contractors that worked in small pools. Today, because the system is scaled, because the AI machine learning is working correctly, our customer base is now Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 50 really, Wells Fargo, Verizon, USAA, Louis Berger, and other very large names in the pipeline, Uber, Nationwide, Johnson & Johnson, et cetera. So our entire thesis is based around the fact that labor equals costs. And this has been known for forever, kind of on the enterprise side. So automation is done to eliminate labor costs. So if you can't automate it out, you still have to have labor. So again, lots of government contracts are basically just large labor contracts. And what the labor is used for, the second given, is to meet demands. Like to complete the mission, we have to do X, Y, and Z. And these activities have to be completed by a person. Financial analysis types of activities, building software, working in the warehouse, nursing. So these can't be replaced, so you actually need labor. But what the enterprise is really trying to do, it's trying to organize the way it fulfills these demands in the best possible way to basically generate revenue. So our whole thesis is if an enterprise understands all its demands all the time, and we literally mean if SAIC understands what the 26,000 jobs being filled right now at SAIC by all their labor is, and the 2,500 jobs that they're posting on the web right now, if they understood how to properly configure all that demand to optimize their workforce, they would probably make 10% more this year. So that's what we really are. We are trying to basically create supply and demand exchange that's a max-min curve, it's an optimization curve for any enterprise. All right, two things about us. This is what we think, the whole measure it. So we are metric. We're not, so many things you collect that are called data are parametric, like how many web clicks I had and where I came from, et cetera, et cetera. Parametric, it's not telling you what the demand generation was for it. So if you think about measuring it, it's, the famous Peter Drucker quote or the attributed quote, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So what we really do for a company is measure its demands all the time. So, and this, again, you think it's easy, but I'm going to show you it's really, really hard for a company to do that across the entire organization, especially at scale. The other quote we love is, just because something's easy to measure doesn't mean it's important. There are lots and lots of measurements of things that don't matter, but they're being measured because they're easy to measure. So how many people clicked on my website yesterday? How many people came from ESPN to my website yesterday? Great, we can tell you how many, but does it matter? And then it gets even worse that people measure things that don't matter. And then because it's the only measure they have, they really cling to it, even though it's useless. And then they start making derivatives of that measure. So you have a derivative measure of a measure that was worthless. So again, we'll show you how all this works.
I got to tell you, this is Dan. I got to tell you, I'm sitting here nodding my head vigorously to having lived through all that. You're absolutely spot on.
Right. So again, I never gave up. Besides being an underperforming peacetime SEAL in the 90s, I spent 10 years doing M&A work in a consulting company, and I was the guy that had to slam together the technology departments. So besides understanding what the people did in the technology side, I had to look at all the hardware, all the software, all the service level agreements. So and it's really hard to measure all that and then turn it into the most important measure, which is you have to monetize it. Like every measure comes back to one thing for an enterprise. What does finance say about this? So it's either a 1 or a 0. What is it? So today what we're going to talk about is how we measure and monetize it for a company and then for a syndicate. But you can see all these different entities and players, this is what they need. So I'm going to show you that Opline is what you need. All right, here's our thesis visualized. So an enterprise is just organized systems. So they have a system to measure their capital outlays and a system to measure their material outlays, supply chain management if you're a big manufacturing company, and systems to do their risk and regulations. But their labor, how much labor they have, what it can do, where it would be best utilized, it's a mess. There is no single, if you will, ledger of truth about what your labor is really valued at. And it's because the larger you get, the more distributed the nature of the organization. Basically the people that understand what the labor can do are the general managers, the senior vice presidents, the line managers. They understand what their 30, 50, 100, 300, 500 folks can do. But once you get kind of beyond that scale, they lose visibility on everything else. So they really don't have labor data. They have a lot of information across a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of siloed systems. So they don't understand what the company's real demands are at any time. So any workforce that has more than 1,000 people is underutilizing its workforce by at least 10, if not 15%. And that's a lot of money. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so here's some numbers to wrap your head around for that. So right now, Cisco outlays $7 billion in labor expenses every year. You can just go to their balance sheet and their income statement, and you can see it. So, and across the world, they have, 75,000, 79,000 workers. They're also trying to hire another 1,500 people. At least that's what their website says right now, because they have 1,500 open jobs. And we can value those because that's what Opline does. It monetizes their demand. And so they're ready to outlay another 135 million right now for labor. And if you think that a job closes every 90 days or so you can 3x or 4x or 5x that number.
You just lost your audio.
Oh, sorry.
You're back.
Okay, sorry. If you look at those companies, they are spending, like, their number one spend is labor. So anything they can do to move that number, basically, if Cisco can move that number just 1 or 2%, that's millions of dollars to the bottom line. That's a huge move in their stock price. So when we're talking about the labor market, we are talking about the huge labor market, but we're also talking about the labor market inside any organization. So, all right, so they have demand they have to meet, they have supply that's on hand, which is, all their W-2s, and then they go to the market to get more supply. So the market for labor is in every single enterprise that's out there. So that's kind of what we really focused on. All right, so let's talk just quickly about demand and supply. Labor demand is generated basically by the top of the organization. It's by the head shed, it's by the business analysts they hire, it's by the divisional vice presidents, it's by the folks that make up the strategic plan, the financial plan, and the workforce plan. And what any organization is doing is constantly saying what is happening around us competitively, regulatory wise, culturally. They're looking at the market and they're deciding how to invest the dollars they have right now to make more money in the future. And what they do is they come up with plans. And so they make all these models, and the models all come back to finance again. So they make models, they make assumptions, they apply heuristics, and they give a really, really heavy usage to the goal seek button, because they have, costs of capital. All our investments have to bring us back at least X%. So they make these giant metric-driven, finance-driven plans. And in those plans is the demand plan. How many electrical engineers do we need this year, next year? If R&D comes through, how many systems engineers do we need, et cetera, et cetera. And so these plans are then translated and given to ops. And they're like, okay, division vice presidents, program managers, whoever you are, you need to deliver this. And so if I'm out there and I'm in charge of supply chain management at 3M, I'm like, okay, I have the systems in place, I have CapEx, I can outsource certain things, but at the end of the day, I still have 5,000 people in my division. And I have to deliver against these demands, these activities, these tasks, all of which generate revenue for us. So I optimize the workforce I have on hand to better deliver this. And this usually gets done again at the program management level, at the line level, but it's really hard to do as you move further and further up and away from where the demand activity is actually completed. But the ops guys that do this, they are literally measured by money. This is income statement, this is balance sheet, this is you made your number this year, you didn't. So the measure here is money. Now, if they've used all their workforce or they think it's optimized and they have new demands that can't be met by either their systems or their people, well, basically they say, all right, let's go to the open market and let's literally buy more labor. You know, we're going to hire more people because we need more people for the line, more marketing people, more back-end office people to support it. So they basically go to HR and recruiting and said, here's the demands we need. And every single job that's out there is a demand signal from this company. And they say, go find us these engineers, these software developers, these warehouse management people, this supply chain manager. And so then they post these jobs. And this is where the measure breaks down, because HR and recruiting don't have a way to measure candidates for value. They have lots of measures. Don't get me wrong. They are chock full of measuring things, measuring views on career site and how many resumes they read and how many calls were made, how many job fairs they went to. But going back to our statement on measuring, these things are easy. How many resumes came in today? 1,000. How many were really, really valuable? I don't know. I have to read through 1,000 resumes to figure it out. So how many resumes came in is a terrible measure. And then because they don't have a really good measure of valuation, they create all these other valuation or all these other measurements that are somewhat useless. So, and we've run into this thing called HR marketing, where people are literally sending you ads for jobs you're not qualified for. And so that's the crazy part, is not only do they not know what you're qualified for when they show up at your site, they're paying people to send you commercials to come back to your site, even though you're not qualified for any jobs there. And so the result of this, the inability of recruiting to measure the value of a candidate in real time, is that their systems are full of false positives. 85%, and this comes from Nationwide, by the way, who gets 250,000 resumes a year. 85% of them are false positives. They are on the wrong job. They basically get thrown out, which means that there's this measure that basically says, hey, only 20% of people that get hired at a company do it through the front door. Like only 20% are going through the HR recruiting process. The rest come in through ops. And that's because ops has created its own shadow systems because it can't get what it needs from HR fast enough to fill its demands. So the big problem is there's no measurement for candidate value. I'm going to show you how we change all of that. So, all right, again, the measure is money. So it's putting demand, which is generated at the top, together with supply, which is either internal or comes from the external, and finance keeps score. All right, and these are the tools I'm going to show you that Opline brings any enterprise to optimize its workforce. So again, demand line is all your demand. And again, well, I won't go through the lines right now, but I'll show you directly in the system. So this is about optimizing your workforce. All right, so before I jump in, how? I didn't answer the how we do this. What Opline really is, it's an AI ML engine, artificial intelligence, machine learning engine that basically interrogates the open labor market at all times. And it interrogates the demand side. Everything Amazon's publishing and Microsoft and 3M and Hilton Hotels and Ford, doesn't matter. Companies publish their jobs in the open. So we can see them, we can see what the requirements are. The machine pulls the requirements in and then interrogates them, because companies ask the same thing over and over and over again. There is patterns in the way they ask things. And basically we were able to recognize what the patterns were and then create a whole series of algorithms to put all those patterns together and then compare the patterns that Amazon has with what Microsoft has, with what 3M has, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a giant, fully regressed 3D ball of data that gets updated every night as the market changes. So because we have, this baseline of labor data, we're basically then able to suck in anybody's jobs. USAA, Verizon, 3M, Uber, doesn't matter, and then basically structure their jobs automatically. because they ask the same things that everybody else is asking. And so some of the questions we get is, hey, how come some fat guys in fishing shirts found this before the big tech companies? Well, going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, our kind of a background is we have a unique perspective on how to get this done. One, we are operationally focused. We are not technology focused. And some of that comes from, we were all SOCOM guys, is how do we get the mission done? We don't care what the tools are. We don't care what the process is. Think about how to work backwards from the objective to what you have available to you and how you can do it. So we're very operationally focused. Our technology is, basically a Crimea of different things that we cobble together. But by the way, it's all ours. It's completely a black box. We don't call out to anybody else's data libraries. We don't use TensorFlow. We don't use all these other things that basically calls to somebody else's system or algorithm. It's all ours. Two, Jeff and I have sort of an understanding of econometrics. We got out of SEAL team. We went to business school. We started working. Jeff worked strategy at 3M for 3 or 4 years. So, lots and lots of economic data being regressed all the time to figure out where you should go, what demand you should be fulfilling. And then the other part of this is, we have backgrounds in military targeting, and Brian has a background in signal intelligence. So what we really are is a giant node to take analog information out of the system and turn it into signal. So we're always collecting, and then we turn it into data so that everyone can use it. And because we were in government contract, we understand that all employment is always a supply and demand arbitrage. Every day, everywhere, everybody. So there's a whole bunch of people that have jobs right now that are going out and getting trained on something else so they can leave the job they're at right now and get more money at another company that will give it them for that new certification, that new IT language, et cetera. So, and the last reason is we were willing to fail, and we did. We failed a lot. This took us a decade to get here. But, that background of SOCOM is we failed, we learned, we failed, we learned, we failed, we learned, and now we have the whole thing. And so now that we have the giant ball of demand data, we can really easy just bring supply data in, because supply dances to demand's tune, not the other way around. Demand is where the money is. Okay, so with that, let's go in there and apply it. Sorry. This is all of our different modules. I won't go into it, just to say, talent line is for recruiters, Skyline is for ops, strat line is for the BD folks, bottom line is for the C-suite. And again, that's just the enterprise side. For individuals, we have Opline and Vetline. Vetline is for veterans. And then we have third-party tools. So Ops Syndicate is for economic development folks that want to basically help their locale. On Point is for veteran service organizations and third parties that want to help veterans. So I'm going to give the demo, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on 3 things: showing you what I mean by structured demand, show you what I mean by structured supply, and showing you how the money gets generated from it. Okay, so with that, so let me drag this across. All right, so what you're looking at right now is an enterprise view of Opline. And as you can see, this is for USAA, one of our customers. And so if I just click on talent line and hit demand, what you're looking at right now live in the system is, here are all the jobs at USAA. It's about 748, 700, about 800 there. And the system is picking them up. It's interrogating the requirements, and it's putting them into a taxonomy. It's basically saying, oh, these jobs are in the finance family. And if I click on finance, you can see it's insurance appraisers, it's auditors, it's insurance underwriters, it's quants, it's actuaries, financial analysts. So you can drill into it. You can see exactly what USAA is asking. So here I clicked a job that said capital markets analyst, and you can see here are the requirements. A bachelor's, at least 2 years of work. Here's the things they'd really like you to know. And so wherever you click on any one of these jobs, again, doesn't matter, risk manager, finance manager, software engineer, we're simply picking up exactly what USA is saying, interrogating it, interpreting it, and bringing it back to the mean. So this is how we measure every single thing that's asked. And so if I go down here to like software engineer, yeah, software engineers are great because everybody's asking kind of the same thing. So if I go in here, you can see, yeah, here's an understanding of regulatory frameworks for software engineers. This one doesn't have a lot of, here, let's go down here. All right, here we go. So look, they're asking you, hey, do you know Java? Do you know Java at rest? Do you have agile methodology? Do you know JDBC? Do you know SQL? Do you know so all these things are asked all the time by lots of different companies. So for a company, we structure their demand and we do it in real time. And one thing we notice about all companies is every single company you look at will have this Pareto curve. They have a core competency. USAA happens to be insurance and banking. So of course, finance and accounting are up there, management's up there, IT software is up there. So this is what they do. They're asking for it all the time. Now, this one, so USAA is our customer. So there's a lot of good things going on here. So, but I can show you, just because they're our customer, we have all the data, but here is, data for lots of other customers. So, so USAA is a bank. Let's go look at someone else that's a bank. That's a bank in Virginia. So I'm like, all right, here's Capital One. They have 1,000 jobs open, and I can click it and I can see, well, they have a lot more software jobs open than USAA. So it's a ton of software jobs open here. And I can see that a lot of these jobs are in Virginia. Hey, so there's Virginia. Here's their jobs that are in Virginia: product managers, software engineers, etc. And like, who else has a lot of this in Virginia? So, so again, we can slew and queue across any area. Here's SAIC. They have 1,500 of these jobs open. And again, you're seeing that our estimate of these 500 jobs open for SAIC in the open market, that's about $46 million of base salary to close these. So again, I can click on this, what's going on in network management, 160 network managers are needed. I click on it again, you can see the data's here. So here's one, in Fort Knox, here's one in Louisville, I can click it open, here's what they need to know. You got this certification, you got this clearance, you need to know Windows 7. So again, the data is all here. I'll do another one of our customers again, and this is at scale. So Verizon, probably at 3,000 jobs right now, a whole bunch of salespeople. Who's Verizon's competitor? Probably Comcast. So wherever we slew and queue, we can see what is going on in the market. Even in let me see, since we're sitting right here, let me do. Oops. Let me see. So what's going on with Huntington Ingalls? So here again, so here's everything that's going on with Huntington Ingalls, and hey, here's what's going on with Huntington Ingalls in Virginia. So here's Virginia. It's engineering techs and software engineers and foremen, and these are probably all kind of local. Let me see. Yeah, Newport News. So all these engineering techs are basically, it's demand that's in right now for Huntington Ingalls. All right. I just wanted to show you that, hey, here's all the demand. So it's right here. All right. How do you get supply to link to this? Well, we have supply linking to us right now. USAA gets supply right from their website. So first, I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you come in and you hit veteran job at USAA, basically that's us. We're sitting right there. And before I click this, because I'll log myself out of admin when I click this, what it's doing is every single vet or milspouse that comes there is being prompted to, hey, tell us something about yourself. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. But what it's doing is collecting the data right here in this thing called supply line. And it's collecting the data based on their demand. The things that USAA wants to know, it's able to collect from this, this analog candidate that right now can't be measured. Well, 60 seconds after he hits the USAA site, we can measure. So again, I don't know who Brock Chess is, but what I can see just from right here is this R squared number. So 0 means he came in today, he hit today. 86 means he is technically aligning to 86 jobs. The R squared, he's being regressed against 86 jobs because his technical capabilities say that he's qualified for this job. this op value, I'm going to come back to it in a minute, but just think of it as a rating. It is a relative rating of this guy against everybody else they're looking at. So when I click on view, instead of seeing a 6-page resume that no one reads, what I see are the important things that USA cares about. Hey, this guy has a DoD level 1, this is a certification, basically says, security plus. Well, yeah, he's a signals officer and he knows scripting language, and he knows Windows, he's got a bachelor's degree. And here's the most important thing. He has 15 years of IT program management experience. So he was probably a Mustang, but now I can see that this guy is important to us. And I'm going to show you how we picked up that information almost immediately, because it's right here in supply line. All right, so with that, let me drag this across. And let me log off of that and let me clear my history. Because if I don't, it will all right, it'll log me, it'll throw an error. So let me just do that. All right. So so you can come into Opline just as a regular person. But let's say what USA really cared about was they wanted to sync vets. So if I click this thing that says veterans, what you're looking at right here is basically just Opline, but it's Opline for veterans. So that we call VetLine. And so USAA says, hey, we want to hire as many veterans as possible, especially sort of that middle tier of enlisted, the E6 through E8s or through E9s. That's basically their customer base, if you will. So this veteran comes, he reads little things, says, hey, here's how much I care about you guys. And then he comes in and it says, all right, here's all we need to sync you to our data. What's your branch? And Army, Navy, whatever. We'll do Navy since we're local here. Hey, are you an officer? Are you a warrant officer? Let's say you're enlisted. What's your years of experience? And then here it's just tell us what you are. So again, we're taking the information from the individual, and we're basically saying just let us know what you are here. So I'll do this, since this is a technology program. And now you can say, yep, I'm still active, which means I'm transitioning, or I'm recently out. Or if this vet's been out a few years, like, oh, well, if you've been out a few years, what we care about is what you're doing now. Like you might have gone to school, you've got more experience. So let us know that. But let's just say this is a transitioning veteran. All right, and I hit save. I'm happy it didn't error out. So I did log myself out correctly. What you are seeing here right now is what the market and the USAA market wants to see from, I forget who I put in, Navy IT with 6 to 8 years experience. It's asking them their certifications first. Hey, do you have a CISSP? Hey, do you have a CCNA? Hey, do you have an MCSE? Can you do scripting language? Can you write Python? And again, as a Navy IT, it's a high likelihood that they are good with SQL, or they've worked with Linux, or they've worked with Windows. So we're collecting the data that's important before this person even sees a job. Because what we're going to do is we're going to align them based on the data immediately. And so you can see this person's coming through and ask them certifications and ask them certain things that both USA and the market cares about. And then it's asking, hey, here's all the other things we care about. Software testing, data engineering. The system knows he can do this because of his MOS. What about data center engineering, which is different, IT program management, architecture. So it's asking him this shot group, but it's an intelligent shot group. Now it comes down here. What about cloud? What about DevOps? RESTful APIs, CI/CD development. And then for all our government contractors out there, we always ask passport, driver's license, give me a security level. So within 60 seconds, this person's read through this list of 40 things and checked off about 20. Now they're reading English, but every time they click off something here, basically it's another coordinate, it's another code that we add to their profile. And when they hit save, we've just synced that person to USA's jobs. They aren't looking for a lot of this guy right now. But if I went back and I said, oh, what, I'm also in software development, and I'm also in cloud engineering and DevOps, and I hit it again, you're going to see it expanded. So again, just to show you that what you tell the system, it brings you back the information. So now they're on top of this. They can click this. They can go into the system. They're on the right job. So now they're applying to the right job. So there's different ways this works, but I wanted to show you that very quickly we get folks on the system into it right away. All right, so say this person wasn't in the US Navy. Say they were, let's do US Army. I'm an 04 and I'm a, let's do a 92 Alpha. Yeah, I'm a quartermaster officer. And, hit save. What you're going to see is, again, these are clicked off because they're asked the same thing, but what you're seeing is it slews and queues very differently. So now it's not asking about IT things. It's asking this officer, oh, we know you got a bachelor's. Is it in STEM or finance? What about a master's degree? What about a PMP? So now it's gonna collect this information and it's gonna sync this person differently. Yep, I've done cost analyst stuff. Yep, I've done data analyst stuff. You know, which makes sense. You're a major, you know, in the logistician field. So you've done all these things. When I hit save, you're gonna see, you know, now it's showing hey, here are program management jobs for you. And again, this is all made in Bootstrap. So again, you're seeing I'm showing you the view kind of for the phone, because we know folks will go in, they'll sync on their phone, you know, they'll see the jobs, they'll start clicking through. So this is really designed so that any soldier, sailor, airman can be going through the chow hall, and you know, when he's in line right away, he's going to basically see what's going on. So that person that came in that synced to the system, well, I'm going to show you now. I'm back on USAA just to make sure. Let's look at the demand. There's the demand right there. Now that that guy came in, if I just go over here and look, I'm going to show you that there they are. He showed up. So now he is in the system. He is supply. So the system automatically updates and syncs these folks. You know, they batch process them every couple of hours. So I'm not going to push him over because he's fake. I'm going to delete him. But I wanted to show you that's where the supply is coming from. So there I am right there. I'll delete it here in a second. So the supply is coming in directly from their career site. And now there is a valuation. And there's a valuation of if this person is valuable to talk to or not. So again, this person's really valuable. This person, not as much. And my guess is, you know, let's just open up and look. So, yep, that's an E3 hospital corpsman. So USAA isn't looking for pharmacy techs or healthcare administrators, other things this corpsman be valuable to, but we know who is. So just hang on to this. We're going to come back to USAA is going to basically get Brittany Conroy a job, not with them, but they're getting the assist through us because we're going to go help Brittany get a job on the other side. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. But if you look at here, you can see all these people are coming in today. We have this valuation number right against them. You know, you can even click on this thing that says jobs. And now you can see the jobs this person is aligning to right here. So we know the jobs, we can open up the jobs, we can see their gaps. So again, there's a ton of data here. And it's literally is data. It's not a MongoDB database full of resumes that are aging the second they come in and no one cares. But again, now that this is data, say I'm at USAA and say I'm looking for something very specific. Well, this functionality on the left is, hey, who knows cybersecurity? So let's say, all right, here's the cyber folks. Came in 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. You're like, well, at least a bachelor's degree. What do we have? Like, okay, well, at least a master's degree. I'm gonna go higher. What do we have? All right. You can put in types of major. You can put in degree areas. You know, if it's vaguer. You know, hey, at least a secret clearance. And then, you know, by certification. Hey, you got to have an AWS. Got to have, you know, at least you know, level 1 this or level 2 that. So all this information all this data is here because the information was put out, and then again we picked it up, we regressed it, we turned it into signal. So now even by branch, by rank, by MOS type, and then down here for all you technology folks, again, it's the technology is, hey, I'm looking for someone that, you know, can write Node.js, or, you know, let's go way back. So all this is here, you know, writes Java. Well, at what level kind of writes Java? You know, knows Windows, knows, you know, Red Hat Linux. So So it's all here. And now I've done this search. I'm like, all right, so Justin seems to be the right guy. Let's go take a look. Well, yeah, Justin has done a lot here. Yeah, he's an engineering officer, but he also has a degree in cybersecurity and it's a master's degree. He knows all this technology stack. So it's here if you simply want to look at it. All right. What we got from a lot of recruiters is they're overwhelmed by this. Like they really love reading resumes, even though it's probably the worst measure possible, but that's how they're measured. So we said, okay, you don't have to do any of this. One, the system works passively. If you just go have one button and one button only, here's your button, supply line top 10. So you can click on this button that says top 10, and we're going to show you the top 10 candidates by value of jobs they're aligning to. So again, the more valuable the job, the higher this number is, so that you don't need to look at everybody. But all right, this guy, Chris, that's in Florida, they have all these jobs in Tampa. This is someone good to look at. What can Chris do? Well, Chris was a electronic warfare officer, basically. So he's an 04. He's got a lot of things going for him. So this is why you should reach out to Chris. The system is saying these folks are good. You should, and this person came in yesterday and he's got he can do a lot of things. And this is exactly who they're looking for. Senior enlisted guys that can do a lot of things across the organization. So this guy's kind of ideal for them. So the way their demand is structured, and again, I'm looking at 3 days, last 10 days. All right, who's valuable the last 10 days? All right, Justin Hall comes to the top. So now I can see him. So 3, 10, 30, it's all right here. And we basically assume that after 30 days, these people that are really valuable, after 30 days, they're not open anymore. So these people are coming in on a daily basis. And if you just hit supply line top 10, basically you're going to see who you should talk to that day. Don't read the resumes, just reach out to them. They're in, they're likely in your ATS because we put them right through to that. And by the way, we can measure, again, going back to measure and monetize. That's what we're here for. We can measure every one of these folks that's coming in. Sorry, I'm in admin mode, so this might error out on me. But the supply about mill, we know that like 1,300 folks have come in here. So in the last few days, we're handing off, actually, I won't show that live because that's USA's document. We know exactly who came in, what rank, what branch, how they came in, et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing is, if I go back to that USAA site, we do it for spouses as well. So that's huge. So we can do it for spouses. And then, so USAA, you can see it was live there. Here's another place that's live. This is Society of American Military Engineers. This is actually a syndicate. So I'll show you what that means here in just a second. So a syndicate is many companies brought under one umbrella. And I showed you a veteran, so we can spouts. Well, we can also do trade line. So again, I'll pop it open. I'll line myself out. So this is Louis Berger. Yeah, they want to hire vets, but what they really want is tradespeople. So, hey, I have a tradesman's degree. I'm a pipe fitter. I'm an HVAC tech. I'm a welder. Hey, how many years have you been doing it? And we even threw security in there for these guys because they're a defense contractor. So now we can sync tradespeople to their jobs right away. So, so this goes back to, we can basically align anybody to any group of jobs anywhere. It's because all the data we have is basically virtualized. So we can move people's data around and sync it to, we can sync demand to supply anywhere we see it, anywhere we look at it. All right, here's what I want to show. I showed you the Society of American Military Engineers. So let me show you another syndicate that we're setting up. So let me switch my enterprise view. All right, so there's a veteran service organization down in Huntsville, Alabama, called Still Serving Veterans. And what they do is they work on getting veterans, veterans presently, veterans have been out 5 years, whatever it is, on top of jobs. And it's primarily in the Huntsville area. So what you're looking at is, this is demand line, for still serving veterans. Basically, it's all the major companies in Huntsville. So here's the, Dynetics and Lockheed Martin and Northrop and SAC. We know these companies are posting jobs in Huntsville, well, literally because we can see them. So I click on SAIC, It says, hey, here's a bunch of jobs for software managers, network managers. All these are in Huntsville. And again, I can go in, I can see it, I can see the jobs, etc. So now that it's here, basically, anyone that goes to still serving veterans, any veteran, will basically have an interaction that looks something like this. Let me do this and do still serving veterans. All right, so now I go in. This would be the still serving veterans. They hit their career site. And again, these folks are basically, think of them as counselors. So we'll make another fake one. It's got to have an email in it. So we made these third-party tools so that folks that are trying to counsel, veterans, spouses, etc., can get this information right away. All right, so let me do an Army guy. I did a Navy guy last time. All right, so an Army guy. We'll stick with enlisted because that's what we care about. All right, I'm an 88 Mike. I'm a 35 Foxtrot. Again, 11 Bravo. That's what we care about a lot. Hey, I'm a 25 uniform. So again, this is kind of the flip side of a Navy IT guy. So just to show you, So now we ask this 25 uniform. A lot of the same things Navy IT guy, except this. This is a lot of folks in Huntsville are looking for common ground systems information. So there's lots of guys in Huntsville that'll have this or are looking for it. So again, I can go through, I can talk about all these things this guy can do, sync them up to the system, give them the security. So still serving veterans doesn't have jobs, but all those folks in the syndicate do. So now you're seeing jobs so this individual now sees jobs at Leidos and at General GDIT, and he sees this jobs for SAIC. Now, SAIC happens to be a client or about to be a client of ours as well. So when they click open, they can see more information here. So now they're basically, while they're hitting still serving veterans, they're also giving SAIC this information as well. So we can basically connect people from third parties directly to the companies that want to hire them in real time. And so now we have what we call the assist. So still serving veterans now gets the assist. Or if they go into people tech and start interfacing, we get the assist for that. So we can help any VSO basically 2 or 3x its capacity almost overnight. They don't even need to do anything differently. They're simply creating this immediate connection between the folks they're trying to help and the folks that can actually help them, get jobs. And they have the data to make it work better. And so I know we're coming up on the timeline. I want to show one more thing for the third parties. So again, we're making the connection, we're measuring it. So a lot of these kids that come out, hey, I came out of the Army, I'm an E4 and I'm an 11 Bravo. What I know to do is how to carry everything I own on my back and to kick indoors. So, and sleep outside. So the government taught me to be homeless. Hey, we can help you. So for VSOs, hey, I'm thinking about being an HVAC tech. You're like, okay, you want to be an HVAC tech? We can tell you, if you want to be an HVAC tech, here are the qualifications you need to be an entry-level HVAC tech in the market. And it'll take you about 18 months to get these, primarily because you got to go to school for it. And we know the clearing rate because we're looking all the time. Well, instead of being an HVAC tech, I want to be, I know how to jailbreak my phone. So I'm thinking about being a front-end developer. Okay, that's a good call. Here's what you need to learn, and the salary's a lot higher. And you're like, well, I'd love to be a financial analyst because, my captain said it's a great job. Okay, that's different again as well. So because we're measuring everything all the time and because we're monetizing requirements all the time, we can also tell every individual how to go from point A to point B, how long it would take them, what the ROI is, et cetera, et cetera. So the system kind of works, everywhere for everybody to create this monetization. All right. So, I showed these 3 things. I want to make sure I stay on time because I'm going to leave a little time for questions. Here's a Hampton Roads example. We have all these veterans coming out. And basically there's all this discussion about how we're going to fill wind power jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we just took the Department of Navy information And we know that, hey, there's a whole bunch of electronic SMEs and mechanical SMEs and what we call 1, 2, 3 lift SMEs, basically the 11 Bravos, the 0311s, the aviation ordnance men of the world. And this number right here, 725, 940, is a third that come out, we think would stay, and then 80% are in the rank range. So we could, these individuals, especially 5 a day coming out the front door, are qualified for a whole bunch of jobs that are here and are waiting for them. And how do we know they're here and waiting for them? Well, because I can go in here and I can go over here and I can say, hey, show me Virginia and show me, you know, what's going on in Hampton. And I can see who has jobs for all those E6s coming out of the Navy right now. And it's GDIT and it's Huntington Ingalls and, you know, a lot of healthcare jobs here, by the way, also. But now I can see, hey, Huntington Ingalls has all these jobs. And we know exactly how all those controlmen and firemen line up to these jobs and these welder jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So we can make the connection between the supply and the demand, again, anywhere it occurs. So now when you're looking at this, we even know, oh, should have done it this way too. You know, we even know, hey, what does it take, you know, to be a wind turbine tech? So if I go in here, all right, if I look at wind turbine tech, I can see here are the companies right now looking for wind turbine techs. You just look at the top, it's makes sense. It's GE, it's Nextra, it's Gamcia. So I can go into GE. I'm like, all right, show me where all the wind turbine techs are for GE. And you can just, you know, you can see they're in Omaha and Fort Worth and Maine and Sweden. And so if I come down here, I'm like, all right, senior wind technician out in Hawaii, you can see what's being asked. So we know what GE and Gamcia, Nextra is asking out of their wind techs. And so we've regressed it all back so that we can see, here's what you need to be a wind tech. You know, if I look at, here's the entry level, you know, you need 1 year of experience as a wind tech or 2 years kind of electrical work experience. So that's all of these Navy guys right here. Like they all have this electronics tech capability. And this one, it's not just, it's mechanical. So we have mechanical. And then these aviation ordnance men, these bosun's mates, they're basically one certification away from being qualified for this job because they all know how to work late at night, confined spaces, underway. This supply is ideal for these jobs. Now they're not going to be here for a couple of years. So this supply is also ideal for all these other jobs, which are in demand right now in the system. So, so there's a lot of ways we can help. You know, if I looked at the Huntington Ingalls jobs. So if you go to Huntington Ingalls website right now, you know, basically, and I click on it, there is no military recruiting career site. If I click on it, they ask an individual, hey, make this choice. Again, what are they measuring right at their career site? They're measuring if someone knows the difference between Ingalls Shipbuilding, Newport News Shipbuilding, and Technical Solutions. So if I'm a finance guy, I'm an accountant, I'm like, who has the jobs for me? And like, I'm just applying to Huntington Ingalls. I don't know, I had to apply at a divisional level. This is essentially a legacy IT system backend that's being put as the interface to what you want to be your supply. So this is a really bad way of collecting information, and it's not collecting data. So we could change this overnight, and you saw it. You click for veterans, you click for cleared, you click for trades, and suddenly there's no longer a supply issue because all the data is there. And as you collect all this data, you get really, really smart about how to change your demand and how to target. So Opline is a living business case all the time because you have the data for the exchange. All right, here's our second thesis. Well, and Dan, we can go to 1255 if you want. Sorry. Our second thesis is we can get every vet employed to the optimal job for them in the market, and that is what we are doing. So Opline is the giant AI system. Vetline is basically the tools for veterans and companies that want to hire them. And so what we are doing is we realize vets are the most valuable commodity. They just don't know where. So we're showing the vets where, we're showing them the pathway to become more valuable, and we can show companies how to hire them. And so you can see the things that we either have right now. You know, we do it for spouses. We help third parties with OnPoint. We have grad line. So any vet that's in school, we can pull them through based on their major. And this is the next one we're bringing out next month, is Vetline Mentor. So this is any vet anywhere can help any other vet. We're basically turning Vetline into a communication node, not just a data node. So just throw that out there real quick, because what we are is we're veteran optimal. So that's more marketing stuff. I won't even think of that. All right, there's probably a lot of questions, so I'll stop. I'll index. Jeff, I'll let you rack and stack them, and tell me where to slew and queue.
Yeah, a lot of questions that we fielded during your presentation. I did get one direct message, a really good one though, about a company's kind of inherent bias when they're posting jobs.
Yep.
You know, and then if how would our machine learning app kind of collect and then you know, handle that? You know, would we pass on that bias, or does it kind of, you know, either get exasperated or diluted?
Okay, so that's a good question. All we do, like, I don't know who I'm in here for. Like literally all we do is pick up whatever the company is saying. So about 2 years ago, we were actively cleaning out cognitive dissonance from companies. Like they would say, you must have a bachelor's degree. And then 3 bullet points later, they say high school degree or 2 years experience. And we're like, well, which is it? So we used to tell the machine to clean it up, but then we stopped. We said, look, whatever a company posts, we are simply a reflection of what they ask for. We are no longer going to help people be less stupid. If they want to be stupid, we pass it on because that is the signal they're putting out. So, so we are literally a measure of what a company says it wants. We don't change. So, so I'm not sure, you know, how to answer that question. Besides that, we're not referees. We're simply just signal.
Yep, that's good. Yep. Yeah, we could, and then the rest of the questions. Oh yeah, we just got a question like, hey, you know, what is the cost? Our cost model is basically based on the size of the company and kind of number of postings. You know, so you know, if there's any interest, we can talk offline with anybody, kind of give you a.
Yeah, well, I will say this: it is extremely cheap compared to what you can do with it. And we literally almost give it away for veterans. So again, part of our ethos is we're going to help all veterans get all jobs. If you're trying to hire veterans, you know, we'll almost do this for you at cost. You know, put that veteran logo up there because we know you'll love it so much that the data is so good that you'll come back and buy other sweet things from us. So there's that.
Yeah,
and free to the workforce that's using the system, which is really cool.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, I can even. Yeah, again, there's a lot of. If you think there's a lot of sort of market intelligence tools out here. So this is for the recruiting folks, and again, you don't have to look. You know, there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice your data. You know, we don't tell. I'm in admin mode. So you really wouldn't go more than 2 or 3 deep on this, but it's all here. All the data's here. So it makes, for recruiters, it basically takes the 80% transaction cost of finding the right people out of the system, and it puts the right person into your ATS. So literally, you know, the folks at Verizon don't even look at this data. The person just goes straight through into their ATS. But now they know any veteran that's applied to them that's on top of a job, it's 95% likely they're qualified for that job. So now they're no longer throwing away 600 resumes a day. They're basically reading 60 a day.
So I referenced this in one of my earlier questions, but corporations organizations are all, I shouldn't say all, but organizations are in many cases complaining about how they can't find workers.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
And this is part of the problem. I mean, it's you know, they're carpet bombing instead of precision munitions.
Yes.
And so your systems help them to pinpoint and with far more accuracy the truly qualified workforce that's out there for the position that they're looking for. So, you know, once these organizations, and I'm just saying it in my terms so I better understand it. Once these organizations have greater refinement to their recruitment process, their efficiency is going to go up, and they should technically find the qualified workforce more easily.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so if you have Opline on your site, you'll know, and 100 people come in, you'll know the 10 to talk to today. Like, so again, you don't, Nationwide got 250,000 resumes last year. They ended up hiring 400 people through that resume dump. So you're literally thinking like they had to clear 250,000 resumes to hire basically 40 people through 400 through the front end process. Like that, the time that took alone is just gargantuan. And to your point, Dan, so this is called curated alignment. So now I'm in my admin mode. Now I can come in here and I can see, hey, Berry Aviation is a customer of ours. And I want to know, all right, who came into Opline in the last few days? And I happen to know that they're looking for fixed wing mechanics. So I can say, all right, in the last 10 days, who came into Opline that's aligning to this fixed wing mechanic job for Berry Aviation? I'm like, okay, here they are. So again, I don't know who this person is, but I can open it up. I'm like, yeah, they're an Air Force maintenance propulsion individual. They're an E5 with an associate's degree. They have the qualifications. And by the way, I know this job is in Ohio that Barry's trying to fill. I can hit this button right here and hit post. What that does, I just alerted this individual who is in our system that there's a job at Berry Aviation he's qualified for. And I alerted Berry Aviation that, hey, we just sent this person to you. So, so the system is basically always making the connections for us in the background. And so we because it's just data, and again, it's just a regression, is like, here are all the folks in the last 30 days, the secret clearance or better that came in the system that Berry is looking for. So we can make the connection just from people that come to opline.com or vetline as well. So that's part of the service we give to our customers. It's like, hey, you tell us what you're having trouble finding, we'll find them for you. So
you then find that that you're better off working with the operational side of the business versus the human resources side.
Yeah, so that's a great
absolutely.
question. So this system was built basically for everybody. So if I go back to our thesis here, like this is what we're trying to do. So all our tools are basically for everybody. You buy Opline, it's a single license. You can have as many people in the organization using it as you want. So ops can use it, recruiting can use it, business analysis, BD can use it, because they're all trying to do the same thing, which is they're all trying to get more revenue for the organization by optimizing the resources they have. So this gives them a common understanding of what's available so they can actually do real planning in real time, if you will, with the same data.
Very good. We're 4 minutes away from hard stop. Last call for questions. Chat or with Mike.
Hey, Mike, I don't know if did you show him the USA? Oh, I guess we can't. I was going to show him the.
Yeah, I have permission to show certain things I don't want to show. I can't.
Sorry.
So it's okay.
Yeah, basically it's a instantaneous snapshot metrics of everyone who's coming in up to the minute. So it's almost like a living report whenever they want it.
And when customers log on, they can obviously they dice the data. They pull the data from your aggregate, which is their specific data, but they can see the more holistic view based on the aggregate if they choose, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And back to some of the conversations about measuring and success. What have been the customer success measures so far about using your system?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we know USAA is at least interviewing more mid and senior enlisted people because they told us. So and that was their target on this. And then they basically said, hey, we're about to start looking for a lot of, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's competitive, a lot of X and Y. And we said, yep, we know exactly where those come out of the military at. They're a little long tail, but we know exactly who you need because we've been regressing all the data for every single military person that's coming in. So we know who has exactly what they need or the highest likelihood, this MOS, this many years, this branch, this rank. That's what you need to target. And so now it's funny, now they can go out and they can actually literally target people kind of in real time. So again, since this is here, I'll show you real quickly. Since this is virtualized demand, all right, this little URL up there, that's Vetline Social. So what this is you can now push your demand anywhere you want in social media, on LinkedIn, any place. So basically, they don't have to come to your site anymore. You can go find them in little chat groups or whatever. And now you can put this right in front of them. So that's what we're doing with that next is we know where your targets are. Again, we're signal intelligence. We know where your targets are out in the world or out in cyberspace. Now we can push it out for you.
That seems to be it would be a huge advantage, I would think.
Right. Yeah, and this is also for like job fairs.
Sure, game changer.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to call it for the sake of time. I want to thank Mike and Jeff both. Mike for a magnificent presentation. Jeff for handling of questions in the background. I thought it was fascinating. I think you guys have a great product, a great set of thesis, and I wish you all the best. I'd like to again send the video link and the presentation link to our registrants, and I'd like to maybe do some other posting of this information because so many of our customers have mentioned the challenges and difficulties, and these are our CIOs oftentimes in the region that they have a very, very hard time overcoming, and this is certainly a way to help them do that. So in our final moments, thank you once again for your assistance and time spent today. And for everybody online, our next event is going to be September 21st, where the Commonwealth, what are we calling it? The Commonwealth Research and Technology Strategic Roadmap will be presented by our friends at CIT. And I will start marketing that immediately on the heels of this. So once again, thank you one and all for presenting and for attending. And thank you for your interest in these Tech Tuesdays. We will continue them. And I look forward to the next several events. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.